Imagine you're lost. You're in a massive, rugged mountain range, and rescue could be hours, maybe even days away. Now, what if a single, simple sign could change absolutely everything? Well, today we're diving into a really incredible study that did just that. It's titled Analysis of the Mapping and Emergency Signaling of Serra Fina as a Risk Management Action for Lost Victims.
So, what we're looking at here is a 2024 monograph. That's a really detailed study on one specific topic. It was written by Anderson Carvalho Maciel as part of the specialization course in public management in protection and civil defense at the Federal University of Juiz de Fora. His advisor was Professor Dr. Alysson Miranda de Freitas. And the academic rigor of this institution really sets the stage for a study with some serious impact.
And hey, just a quick note before we get into the details. If you find this kind of analysis valuable, please think about following our channel, giving this a like, and sharing it. It honestly makes a huge difference in helping us bring more important research just like this to more people.
All right, so here's our game plan. First, we'll dig into the unique challenge of Serra Fina itself. Then, we'll look at the brilliant mapping intervention they put in place. After that, we'll see if it actually worked by looking at the direct results. And finally, we'll wrap up with the author's conclusions and what this all means moving forward.
Okay, let's start with Part 1, the Serra Fina Challenge. Because really, to get why the solution is so impressive, you first have to understand the sheer scale of the problem they were facing.
So, Serra Fina is one of Brazil's most incredible mountain ranges. It's this majestic, sprawling landscape that actually sits on the border of 3 different states, and it's home to Pedra da Mina, which is the 4th highest peak in the entire country. So you can imagine it's a total magnet for hikers and climbers looking for a real adventure.
And that popularity has just exploded. I mean, check out this number. Data that was put together from logbooks kept at the summit shows a nearly 400% jump in visitors between 2001 and 2017. That's just staggering. And of course, more people inevitably means more risk. And right here, you can see the direct result of that. According to data from public safety agencies that was cited in the study, incidents with lost hikers shot up, really peaking there in 2018. This wasn't just a small uptick, it was a serious public safety problem that absolutely needed a new way of thinking. And that brings us to the core idea of the whole study, risk management. See, it's not just about reacting when something goes wrong. It's about being proactive. It's about looking at the threats, like a hiker getting lost in this huge wilderness, and putting things in place to either stop it from happening or, if it does, to make the outcome a whole lot better. So, with a problem that big, how did they tackle it? Well, that takes us to our second section, the mapping intervention. Let's get into the practical, on-the-ground solution they came up with.
Now, this solution wasn't something one group came up with on their own. In April of 2023, this incredible collaboration formed. You had the military fire departments from 2 different states working together with, and this is key, the local Serra Fina Property Owners Association. It's a perfect example of public agencies and civil society joining forces.
And the project was so methodical. First, the planning phase. They set a clear goal to map and signpost the entire 35-kilometer main trail. Then, execution. They went out and installed 60 of these specially designed emergency signs, placing one about every 500 meters. And finally, data compilation. They created this amazing geographic database for rescue teams, marking everything from water sources to potential helicopter landing spots. But here's the really clever part, how these signs actually work. They're not just markers. Each one has a unique code and a QR code. So if you're a hiker and you're in trouble, you can just tell rescuers that code and they know exactly where you are. Plus, the QR code gives you immediate instructions on what to do, empowering you right there on the spot. It's brilliant.
Okay, now for the part I know you've been waiting for, the results. Did this whole thing actually work? Let's take a look at the direct impact and what the research found.
The research gives a really honest, balanced look. On the plus side, the project seriously improved teamwork between civil and military groups, it directly lowered the risk of hikers getting lost, and it created this incredible database for rescuers. But it also pointed out areas that need work, like getting better resources for the mountain teams and dealing with the wild, unpredictable weather up there.
But, as the author points out, the most powerful proof is in the numbers, specifically comparing rescue times before this system existed to after.
So let's look at the before. In May 2021, a hiker got lost. Without any precise location, rescue teams had to deal with tough terrain and bad weather. The whole search and rescue took a grueling 36 hours.
Now let's look at the after. In June 2023, just a couple of months after the signs went up, another hiker was in distress, but this time they could give rescuers information from a nearby sign. The result? The rescue team found them in just 1 hour and 20 minutes. I mean, from 36 hours to under an hour and a half, that's not just an improvement, that's a complete game changer. It's literally saving lives. So, this brings us to our final section, the conclusion. What are the bigger takeaways here? Let's talk about the social and professional importance of a project like this.
So, to sum it all up, the monograph makes it crystal clear. This mapping project is an incredibly effective tool for risk management. It's also proof of how powerful cooperation can be. It has demonstrably made hiking safer and rescues way more efficient. And maybe most importantly, it gives a blueprint for better public policies in other outdoor areas too.
And this all leads to a really interesting question for the future, one that the author's work inspires. What could be the long-term impact of ideas like this on the safety of everyone who enjoys the outdoors, not just in Serra Fina, but all across Brazil? You have to think, this could just be the start.
In the end, this monograph is just a fantastic piece of applied research. It really highlights the quality and the commitment of the specialization program at the Federal University of Juiz de Fora. It shows they're truly dedicated to training professionals who can think critically and ethically to help build a stronger, more resilient society.
Now, we've really only been able to scratch the surface today. If you want the complete, detailed version of the study, we strongly recommend you check out the original work. We've put a link for you right in the description below. And one final thing, a quick disclaimer. This material is an automated summary of the academic work, and it was generated with support from artificial intelligence. Because it's a synthesis, the content might have some simplifications or even inaccuracies. Thanks so much for joining us for this analysis.